I never thought the day would come when my own daughter would look me in the eye and say, "You don't belong here, Mom. This house isn't yours anymore." Her words cut deeper than any knife. We were standing at the grand gates of a mansion I had once dreamed of building for our family's future. A sprawling $4 million estate with polished marble floors, chandeliers that sparkled like diamonds, and gardens so wide you could lose yourself in them. But instead of welcoming arms, I was met with cold stares. My daughter Anna stood tall in her expensive designer dress, her husband Jason by her side, smirking like he had won some battle I didn't even know I was fighting. "Don't embarrass yourself," Jason sneered. "This is our home now. You should go back to your little apartment." I froze. I could feel the blood rushing to my face, but I bit my tongue. For years, I had sacrificed everything, my youth, my health, my savings, so my children could have a better life. And here I was, treated like an uninvited guest. The servants looked at me with pity as Anna waved her manicured hand, signaling the guard to close the gates. I heard the heavy iron doors creak shut, and with each inch they closed, it felt like my own child was locking me out of her life. I wanted to scream to remind her of who I was, but instead I whispered to myself, "Maybe one day you'll understand what you've done." What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the mansion they were so proudly calling theirs wasn't in her name at all. The papers, hidden safely in my lawyer's office, told a very different story. A story that would shake their world. A story I'm about to tell you now. I was never born into wealth. My life began in a small, cramped house where every dollar had to stretch farther than it ever should have. My husband Michael and I married young, with nothing but a dream of building something lasting for our children. While other couples went on vacations or bought fancy things, we chose to save. Michael worked at a factory, long shifts that left his hands rough and his back aching. I worked as a seamstress, taking in clothes from neighbors late into the night. Sometimes I would sew until my eyes stung with tears from exhaustion, but each stitch felt like an investment in Anna and David's future. When Anna was born, I held her tiny fingers and promised her, "One day you'll live a life without struggles." When David came along 2 years later, I made the same promise. They were my world, my reason for pushing through every hardship. Michael had one dream, a home big enough for all of us, a place where our children could grow without ever worrying about the cold winters or leaking roofs we had known. That dream grew into something bigger when he began sketching designs for a mansion, the kind he had seen only in magazines. "One day," he'd whisper as he traced the outlines, "this will be theirs." We didn't have much, but we had determination. Every time I patched a shirt, every time Michael worked overtime, every dollar we tucked away went into what we called the Family Dream Fund. Still, the children grew up not really knowing the sacrifices we made. How could they? To them, Christmas morning always came with presents, and their birthdays always had cakes. They didn't see the nights Michael went without dinner so the kids could eat an extra piece of meat. They didn't see the times I wore shoes with holes just to buy them new ones. At first, I thought they would notice when they got older. I thought they'd look back and say, "Mom, Dad, you gave us everything." But instead, they started seeing only what we didn't have. And that was the beginning of a painful change. Anna was always ambitious. Even as a teenager, she dreamed of luxury, the kind of life her friends flaunted on social media. When she turned 16, she begged for a designer handbag. I told her we couldn't afford it, and the way her face fell still haunts me. "Other girls don't have to live like this," she snapped. "Why do I have to be the poor one?" The word poor felt like a slap. We weren't poor. We were working towards something. But to her, appearances mattered more than effort. David was different, at least at first. He was quieter, more thoughtful, and he often hugged me when Anna rolled her eyes. "Don't worry, Mom," he'd whisper. "I get it." But as time went on, even he started drifting. His friends lived in better houses, wore better clothes, and soon, he too began to resent what we couldn't give. Michael tried to reassure me. "Once the house is built, they'll understand. They'll see it was all for them." And so, we pressed on. We bought land, A beautiful stretch just outside the city, with hills rolling like waves and sunsets that painted the sky orange and pink. It was more than we could afford, but Michael said it was an investment in the children's legacy. The mansion became his obsession. Every break he had from the factory, he spent on that land, overseeing construction, adjusting plans, even laying bricks himself. I supported him, though part of me worried the children didn't care about the sweat dripping down his brow. One night, I overheard Anna on the phone with her friend. "My parents are finally building a proper house," she said with a mocking laugh. "Took them long enough." My chest tightened. Proper house? After everything? I didn't confront her, but I cried silently in my bed that night. Michael held my hand and told me to be patient. "They're young," he said. "They don't know yet. One day they'll thank us." But the day of gratitude never came. Instead, the distance grew. The more we built, the less they seemed to value us. Jason entered our lives like a storm dressed in silk. He was charming at first glance, tall, confident, the kind of man who could walk into a room and make everyone look his way. Anna was smitten immediately, her eyes lighting up every time he spoke. Michael and I tried to be polite when she introduced him over dinner. He talked about business deals, expensive cars, and the lifestyle he wanted. Something about the way he said success sounded less like ambition and more like greed. After dinner, when Anna stepped away, Michael leaned close to me and whispered, "He's not the kind who builds, he's the kind who takes." But Anna was blind to it. She laughed at his jokes, defended his arrogance, and soon enough, we realized she was planning her future with him. Jason, meanwhile, was quick to notice the mansion project. His eyes lingered on the blueprints, the land deeds, the talk of millions in value once completed. "This place will be worth a fortune," he remarked casually. Something about the way he said fortune sent a chill through me. Slowly, he began to influence Anna. She stopped helping around the house, stopped visiting the land with us, and instead started talking about her future home. She called the mansion hers more often than ours. One evening, I overheard her, telling Jason, "Once it's finished, Mom and Dad can live somewhere smaller. We'll take care of the mansion." Take care? Or take over? I wanted to believe I misheard, but Jason's smirk the next time he looked at me told me otherwise. He wasn't just marrying Anna. He was marrying into the mansion. After Jason became a regular presence in our lives, the atmosphere inside our family began to change. At first, it was subtle, almost unnoticeable if you weren't paying attention. But I paid attention to every detail. Anna, once my little girl who used to curl up beside me with bedtime stories, now looked at me as if I was beneath her. She spoke with a tone laced with impatience. "Mom, you just don't understand how the world works," she'd say whenever I disagreed with her or Jason. Jason fueled her attitude. He was clever, always planting ideas in her mind, always talking about moving forward and building their empire. I could see how easily she absorbed his words, nodding at everything he said. One day I walked into the living room while Jason was showing Anna something on his laptop. As soon as I entered, he slammed it shut. They both looked guilty, like children caught sneaking cookies. When I asked, Anna brushed me off. "It's nothing, Mom, just some business ideas." But the way Jason smirked told me otherwise. David, meanwhile, was drifting away too. He had always been my quiet one, but now he spent more time out with friends, less time at home. Whenever he did come back, he seemed distant, almost ashamed. Sometimes I wondered if he felt caught between loyalty to me and the temptation of wealth his sister and Jason dangled. Michael sensed it too. One evening, as we sat together on the porch of our half-finished mansion, he sighed deeply. "They're slipping away from us, Mary," he said. "We built all this for them, but I fear they're already lost in their own greed." I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong. But deep inside, I knew he was right. The bond we had as a family, the bond built through sacrifice and love, was crumbling under the weight of money and ambition. And the worst part was, I could feel Jason's fingerprints all over it. It started with small hints. Jason would casually mention paperwork over dinner, talking about protecting assets and planning for the future. Anna echoed him, saying things like, "Mom, Dad, you should really let us handle these things. You're not getting any younger." At first, I ignored it, but soon Jason stopped being subtle. One afternoon, he showed up at our old house with a folder in his hands. "Mrs. Thompson," he said with that smug smile of his, "I've drawn up some documents that will simplify everything. It's just to ensure the mansion is properly managed and secure." I narrowed my eyes. "What do you mean by managed?" "It just means you won't have to worry about all the complicated stuff," he said smoothly. "Anna and I will take care of it. All you need to do is sign." I refused to even touch the papers. "This house belongs to your father and me. Until we say otherwise, nothing changes." Jason didn't flinch. He just shrugged and said, "You'll see. It's better this way." That evening, Anna confronted me. "Why are you making this so hard, Mom?" she snapped. "Jason knows what he's doing. You and Dad don't understand how to handle property at this scale." Her words stung. I wanted to remind her that without our sweat and sacrifice, there wouldn't be a property. But instead, I bit my tongue, tears burning in my eyes. The next few weeks, the pressure grew. Jason came by more often, sometimes even without Anna, pushing papers toward me, telling me it was just a formality. When I refused, his mask would slip just a little. His smile would tighten, and his voice would lose its charm. "Don't be foolish," he hissed one evening when we were alone in the kitchen. "This house isn't really yours. It's Anna's future. Sign the papers and step aside gracefully, or you'll regret it." That was the first time he truly scared me. Once Jason realized I wouldn't sign so easily, he changed tactics. Instead of pressuring me directly, he began driving a wedge between me and Anna. He whispered poison into her ears, turning her against me. Soon Anna began accusing me of being selfish. "Why can't you just let go, Mom?" she yelled one evening, slamming her hand on the table. "You don't even need a mansion. You should be happy for me." Happy for her? After everything Michael and I had sacrificed? David tried to mediate at first. "Anna, calm down," he said. "Mom isn't the enemy." But Jason quickly pulled him aside, making promises of investment opportunities and shares in the property if he just stayed quiet. Slowly, David's loyalty began to crack. He stopped defending me as often. Sometimes he avoided me altogether, as if ashamed of choosing sides. Meanwhile, Jason turned bolder. He threw lavish parties at the half-finished mansion, inviting his friends, flaunting what he called our home. I confronted him once, demanding he stop. He only laughed in my face. "Face it, Mary," he said coldly. "This house will never be yours. You're just holding on to something you can't keep." The arrogance in his eyes made my blood boil. But I stayed silent because deep down, I knew there was a storm coming. One that would either destroy me completely or reveal who Jason truly was. And then, one night, I discovered something that made my hands tremble and my heart race. Hidden among papers in Anna's room was a draft contract Jason had been working on. A contract designed to transfer ownership of the mansion entirely into their names. It was worse than I imagined. Jason wasn't just trying to push me aside, he was planning to erase me. The day the mansion was finally finished should have been one of the proudest moments of my life. Michael and I stood in the driveway, staring up at the sprawling estate that had once been nothing more than lines on a sketch. The walls gleamed white in the sun, the tall glass windows sparkled, and the gardens we had dreamed of were finally real. Tears welled in my eyes. "We did it, Michael," I whispered, squeezing his hand. But when I turned to look at Anna and Jason, I saw no gratitude. Instead, I saw ownership. They walked through the grand entrance as if the house already belonged to them. Jason's arm draped over Anna's shoulder, his voice booming as he pointed at rooms, declaring where he would build his office, his entertainment hall, his wine cellar. Not once did Anna thank us. Not once did she even look back. David was there too, but even he seemed swept up in the glamour. He whistled at the chandeliers, marveled at the marble floors, and for the first time, I felt like I was the outsider, as if I were merely a guest in the home I had sacrificed everything to build. Later that evening, as we all sat in the grand dining hall, Jason raised a glass. "To the future," he declared. "To Anna and I for building a home that will stand for generations." I nearly choked on my food. He hadn't even mentioned Michael or me. I caught Michael's eye across the table. His lips tightened into a thin line, his knuckles white as he gripped his fork. But he said nothing, and for the first time, I realized silence might be our greatest mistake. The morning after the celebration, Jason came to see me alone. He didn't bother with charm this time. His tone was cold, his words sharp. "Mary," he said, dropping a thick envelope onto the kitchen counter, "we need to finalize ownership of the mansion. You and Michael should sign these papers today." I didn't even open the envelope. "No," I said firmly. His eyes narrowed. "You're making a mistake. This house is mine and Michael's. Until we decide otherwise, nothing changes." He leaned in close, his voice low and threatening. "Listen carefully. You're old. You don't need this house. Anna and I are the future. If you don't sign, I'll make sure you regret it." "Do you really want your daughter to hate you?" For a moment, I froze. The cruelty in his eyes was like ice. But then something inside me hardened. I met his gaze and whispered, "You already made sure of that." Jason sneered and left, but I knew this wasn't the end. That evening, Anna stormed into my room. "Why can't you just cooperate, Mom?" she shouted. "Jason's right. This house is for us. You don't belong in it anymore." Her words shattered me. I felt like the ground had been ripped from beneath my feet. My own daughter, the child I had carried, fed, and nurtured, was now telling me I didn't belong in the very home I built for her. Michael tried to calm me that night. "Stay strong," he said. "We can't let them bully us." But I could see the strain in his eyes, the way the years of sacrifice weighed on him. It was then I realized Jason wasn't just testing us, he was breaking us apart piece by piece. Michael's health had always been fragile after decades of hard labor, but I never thought I'd lose him so soon. One evening, as we walked through the mansion's gardens, he clutched his chest and fell to the ground. I screamed for help, but it was too late. The man who had carried me through life, the one who dreamed this house into existence, was gone. Grief consumed me. For days I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I sat alone in the mansion, staring at the walls he had built with his own hands. Every corner reminded me of him. Anna and Jason, however, showed no such grief. At Michael's funeral, Jason looked more annoyed than mournful, tapping his watch as if waiting for the service to end. Anna wept, but I could tell her tears were shallow, more for show than for love. The very next day, Jason approached me again, this time with Anna by his side. "Mom," Anna said, her tone rehearsed, "you need to sign the mansion over to us." "It's what Dad would have wanted," I snapped. "Don't you dare speak for your father. He worked for this house, not you. And he would never have wanted this." Jason's smile returned, but it was colder now. "We'll see about that," he said. A week later, while sorting through Michael's belongings, I stumbled upon an envelope he had hidden away. Inside was a letter from his lawyer, Mr. Carter. My hands shook as I read it. The letter revealed something I had never known. The mansion deed wasn't just in both our names. It was fully in my name. Michael had arranged it that way, fearing that our children might one day be manipulated or swayed by greed. I broke down, clutching the letter to my chest. All this time, Michael had been protecting me. He must have known this day would come, and suddenly I wasn't just a grieving widow. I was the rightful owner of the mansion, and Jason's worst nightmare. The letter I found in Michael's belongings felt like a lifeline. It was written by Mr. Carter, our family lawyer, a man Michael had trusted for years. In it, Michael explained that he had placed the mansion entirely in my name, fearing that Anna and David might one day be persuaded by greed or manipulated by outsiders. Reading those words, I wept. Michael had known our children better than I did. He had seen the dangers long before I was willing to admit them, and with his foresight, he had given me a weapon to protect what we built. I wasted no time. The next morning, I went straight to Mr. Carter's office. He was an older man with silver hair and sharp eyes, the kind of lawyer who missed nothing. "Mrs. Thompson," he greeted me warmly, "I was wondering when you'd come. Michael asked me to keep certain documents safe until you needed them." He opened a drawer and pulled out a thick folder. Inside were the official property deeds, signed and sealed. There was no doubt about it. The mansion was legally mine. My hands trembled as I held the papers. "So, they can't take it from me?" "Not without your consent," Mr. Carter confirmed. Michael made sure of that. He was worried about Anna's husband, Jason. He didn't trust him. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. He was right not to. Mr. Carter leaned forward. If Jason tries anything, threats, forged papers, or false claims, you come straight to me. This mansion is your property, and no one can change that. For the first time since Michael's death, I felt a spark of hope. I wasn't powerless. I had the truth on my side, but I also knew Jason wouldn't stop easily. He wasn't the kind of man to give up when millions of dollars were at stake. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. I was in the mansion's living room, staring at a photo of Michael, when the front door opened. Jason and Anna walked in with smug expressions, followed by a man in a suit carrying a briefcase. "Mom," Anna said sharply, "this is Attorney Williams. He's here to finalize the property transfer." I stood up, my heart pounding. "Property transfer? What are you talking about?" Jason smirked. "Don't play dumb, Mary. It's time you handed over the mansion to its rightful owners. Anna and I are the future. You're just clinging to the past." The so-called attorney opened his briefcase and slid a stack of papers across the table. "If you'll just sign here, Mrs. Thompson, we can make this official." I picked up the first page and immediately noticed something off. The formatting was sloppy, the language vague, and there were no proper seals. It didn't take a genius to realize this was a forgery. I looked Jason dead in the eyes. "Do you think I'm a fool?" I said coldly. "This isn't legal. These documents are worthless." Jason's face darkened. "Sign them or you'll regret it." I almost laughed. "No, Jason, you'll regret this." Without another word, I pulled out the official deed from my purse, the one Mr. Carter had given me. I slammed it down on the table, the embossed seal gleaming under the light. "This house," I declared, "is in my name. Not Anna's, not yours, mine. Michael made sure of it." For the first time, Jason's smug mask cracked. His eyes widened, his jaw tightened, and I could see the rage bubbling beneath the surface. Anna looked shocked too, her face pale. What do you mean, Mom? Dad left it to you?" "Yes," I said firmly. "Because he knew what kind of man Jason really is." Jason clenched his fists, but he said nothing. The fake lawyer quickly packed up his briefcase and scurried out, clearly not wanting to be part of Jason's scheme any longer. I watched Jason carefully. He wasn't defeated, not yet. But he had been exposed. After Jason's failed attempt, I knew I couldn't stay quiet anymore. If I let him continue, he would only find new ways to manipulate Anna, and eventually David too. I had to act, and not just privately. I needed to expose him in front of everyone. I called Mr. Carter and explained everything. He listened carefully, then said, "The best way to stop Jason is to reveal the truth publicly. Let Anna, David, and anyone else who doubts you see the proof with their own eyes." The idea terrified me, but I knew he was right. Jason thrived in the shadows, twisting words and planting seeds of doubt. But if I brought everything into the light, his power would crumble. So, with Mr. Carter's help, I arranged a family meeting at the mansion. I told Anna and David it was about settling Michael's affairs. Jason, of course, insisted on being there. The night of the meeting, I stood in the grand dining hall, clutching the deed in my hands. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear myself think. Anna walked in first, dressed elegantly as always, her chin high. Jason followed, his smug smile firmly back in place. David arrived last, looking nervous, as if he already sensed a storm brewing. "All right, Mom," Anna said impatiently. "What's this about?" "We're all busy." I took a deep breath. "It's about the mansion, about who it truly belongs to, and about the truth Michael left behind." Jason chuckled. "This should be good." I laid the deed on the table right in front of them. "This house," I said firmly, "is in my name. Michael insured it before he died, and nothing you say or do can change that." For a moment the room fell silent. Then Anna's face twisted in disbelief, David's eyes widened, and Jason's smug grin vanished entirely. The dining hall was so silent, you could hear the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. My words hung in the air like thunder after a storm. Jason's face flushed red, his jaw clenched tight. "That's impossible," he barked. "You're lying," but I slid the papers across the table, the embossed seal glimmering under the chandelier. "This is the official deed. Verified by our lawyer, Mr. Carter. Do you want me to call him right now?" Jason snatched the papers, scanning them furiously. His hands trembled as he realized the truth. Anna leaned over his shoulder, her mouth falling open. "Mom," she whispered, her voice shaking. "So, The mansion really belongs to you? Yes, I said firmly. Your father made sure of it. Because he didn't trust Jason, and now I see why. Jason slammed the papers down. This doesn't change anything. Anna and I deserve this house. You're too old to manage it. You'll give it to us eventually, so just sign it now. I stood tall, my voice cold. No, Jason. The only thing I'll give you is the door. David, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. Is this true, Mom? Dad really left the mansion to you? Yes, David, I replied, my eyes stinging with tears. Because he wanted to protect me, and protect you both from being used. David turned toward Jason, his face hardening. You lied to us, he hissed. Jason's mask cracked again. I did what I had to do. You're too weak to see it, David. Without me, none of you would know how to handle real money. The words echoed like poison. And in that moment, I knew Jason had finally revealed his true self, not just to me, but to everyone. Jason's eyes darted between Anna, David, and me. His arrogance slipped into panic. Don't you see? He shouted. This house should be mine. I put in just as much effort, I cut him off. Effort? Michael built this with his hands. I worked day and night to save every penny. You only schemed to steal it. Anna's eyes filled with tears. Jason, tell me it's not true. Tell me you weren't trying to trick Mom. Jason grabbed her wrist tightly. Don't be stupid, Anna. Everything I've done has been for us. But Anna pulled her hand away, her voice breaking. No, it was for you. You never cared about my family. You only cared about the mansion. David stepped forward, his voice steady for the first time. Get out, Jason! You've used us long enough! Jason's face twisted in rage. You'll regret this, he spat. All of you. He stormed out of the dining hall, slamming the door so hard the chandelier rattled. Anna collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I didn't know, Mom. I swear I didn't know. I placed the deed back into my purse and sat across from her. Maybe you didn't know, Anna, but you chose to believe him over us. You let him turn you against your own family. Her sobs grew louder, but I didn't move to comfort her. Not yet. The wound was too deep. David placed a hand on my shoulder. Mom, I'm sorry too. I should have seen through him. I should have protected you. For the first time in a long while, I felt a glimmer of hope in David's eyes. But trust once broken isn't so easily mended. In the days that followed, the mansion felt eerily quiet. Jason disappeared, leaving Anna devastated and ashamed. She avoided me at first, but eventually she came to my room one evening, her eyes swollen from crying. Mom, she whispered, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I let him poison me. I said things I can never take back. I don't deserve this house. I don't deserve you. I looked at her for a long moment. Memories of her childhood flooded my mind, the little girl who once clung to my hand, who begged me to sing her lullabies. I saw her innocence, long buried under Jason's influence, struggling to return. You're right, I said quietly. You don't deserve it. But you're still my daughter, and maybe one day you'll earn back what you lost. She broke down sobbing again, but this time I reached out and held her. Because even through the betrayal, the love of a mother never truly dies. David grew closer to me, too. He visited often, helping with the estate, asking questions about Michael's sacrifices. Slowly, I saw in him the gratitude I had longed for. As for the mansion, I made my decision. I would keep it in my name, exactly as Michael had intended. Not to punish my children, but to remind them that respect and love must come before inheritance. One evening, as we sat together in the grand living room, I spoke the final words that sealed our future. Respect matters more than money, I said firmly. Your father knew it, and now you both know it too. This mansion isn't just walls and floors. It's a monument to sacrifice, and as long as I live, it will remain in my name. Anna nodded silently, tears slipping down her cheeks. David lowered his head in agreement. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Jason was gone. My children had learned their lesson. And Michael's dream, our dream, was safe. The mansion stood tall, not as a prize for the greedy, but as a reminder of the truth. Family without respect is nothing.